Fam, what is going on? It is Kyle Henderson of Bama Football on YouTube. Can I get a Roll Tide inside the comment box? Good morning. Today is Wednesday, October 2nd. I appreciate you guys being here. This is Vanderbilt week. Don't buy into the rat poison. Today on the show, we got trending Tide headlines. Will Alabama beat Vanderbilt by more than 21 points? The next 5 games for Alabama as we continue with SEC play. We look at week 6 in the college football world, and I give you my top 10 Alabama players right now at this point in time. And I got a question for you. What do you want to see from Alabama this coming weekend against Vanderbilt besides a beatdown on the Commodores? All right, I appreciate you guys being here. Kyle Henderson, Bama Football on YouTube. Also available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Our Facebook channel is very active, Bama Football on Facebook. And I appreciate you guys joining the program this morning. I'm coming to you from Tuscaloosa, Alabama, where the weather is absolutely fantastic. And as we get into, looking at this game, North Alabama Storm Chase is always in with our weekend weather report. We appreciate you for sending this in on a daily basis, and it looks like an absolutely fantastic day of football in Nash Vegas for this Saturday. So for the tailgate, remember, the game starts at 3:15. It'll be carried on SEC Network. You got 76 for that tailgate down there. What's cool about Vanderbilt, it's right there in the city. I love that place. And then you got a game time temperature of 80 degrees for kind of home away for home for Alabama. That's Alabama Stadium in Nashville, right? They also have a stadium in Georgia. That's at the Mercedes Stadium, right? And then for the fourth quarter, it looks like 73. So that is the temperature watch for this weekend's game. You know, I've never been to a stadium where it's just completely Alabama football besides Bryant-Denny Stadium, right? Like, this is the stadium where it'll be filled up with 28,000 Crimson Tide football fans. The stadium doesn't even have 30,000 people. Now, they've added some updates, but I would assume that, just kind of over the course of time, they've had, more seats put in, but it's a tiny stadium. So, yeah, the temperature looks absolutely beautiful for this weekend. I'll get into the injury report. We haven't heard an injury report yet. Now, Coach Kalen DeBoer does have his Wednesday weekly SEC teleconference. Now, I'm sure reporters will ask him on any follow-ups on any players that were injured against Georgia, most notably Kendrick Law, who suffered some sort of a lower leg injury. We didn't get an update following the game, nor did we get an update on Monday. So I think at this point in time, we're watching a couple players. It doesn't seem like Justin Jefferson or Tim Keenan, like anything is serious regarding those players. I didn't even list Devontae Smith because I think it was more like cramps. So we'll keep you posted as, those injury reports come in. If there's anything significant, I'll bring that right to you here on Bama Football on YouTube. Bring it here to YouTube and then kind of circulate it out on social media. So please follow us on social media. But at this point in time, and I know you guys have been asking for an injury report, just don't have one at this current point in time. We'll wait for Coach Kalen DeBoer. But you do have an opportunity. So I would assume by like 11:45 a.m. Central Time, you would get some sort of an update. So just keep it posted here or wherever you get your news. There's plenty of sources. Please support them all, that cover the Alabama Crimson Tide. Here's what's trending today in terms of trending topics regarding the Alabama Crimson Tide. And we'll start out with the top. This is like the focal point of the college football universe is right here in Tuscaloosa, okay? You can talk about, other conferences and there's, marquee matchups and a couple different leagues, but nothing is like the SEC. Nothing. This game on Saturday, okay, it peaked at 14 million viewers. That's why I'm never stressing about there's other people that certainly cover Alabama football who do an amazing job. But listen, like 14 million people are watching this game. Now, there's a large percentage that probably want to see Alabama lose, and I get that. But, I mean, the overall amount of people that are watching on TV, is just incredible. I mean, almost 15 million people tuned in to watch this game. And that's the other thing about brand exposure for each team, right? I mean, another opportunity for Coach Kirby Smart. But, when you're looking at Alabama and kind of the brand of that program, you see all those eyeballs on Alabama football. I can't even imagine how recruits, over the 100 recruits that were at that game, how they felt watching Alabama, the former players, the continued donors, the continued fans that watch Alabama football on a daily basis, and those that continue to support Coach Kalen DeBoer and what he's been able to do early on in his takeover of Alabama. It's extraordinary. Literally, it is amazing. Now, when we go back and you talk that game, I'm still talking about it with friends this morning. Like at my workout, I'm still talking about the game today and how it made them feel when Alabama went down and then coming back. That game had it all. But I think, it's important to realize this. All right, and Todd Tipton, what's up, man? I see you inside the comment box. He's saying Kirby 1-6 against Alabama. 100%. Yeah, that's fact. But I think it's important to realize this. From that game, other than kind of an insurance victory for Alabama and adding, hey, we beat Georgia, you didn't win anything. Now, there's rat poison traps, like literally at the stadium, right? They're like the rat traps because it's rat poison. You didn't win anything. You didn't win a SEC championship from that game. You didn't win the national title. It wasn't a playoff game. It felt like it, but you didn't win anything. So I get it. Alabama's ranked number 1 in the world of college football. Jalen Milroe is the Heisman hopeful. None of those awards, nothing has been determined on October 2nd ever in the college football world. So it is so important for Alabama to retain the right psychological disposition in a game, especially like this against Vanderbilt, where they're favored by 22 points. Bama 205, what's up? I see you inside the comment box. That win against Georgia will carry a long way, and it will be valued throughout the season. But a loss to Vanderbilt, to South Carolina, to Missouri, you know this. Alabama is held to a completely different standard than any other program. Georgia beats Kentucky 13-12, not a big deal. Miami survives Virginia Tech, not a big deal. Oregon survives Idaho and Boise State, not a big deal, right? If Alabama was to survive Idaho, if they were to survive Kentucky, if they were to survive Virginia Tech, they drop in the rankings, right? You get what I'm saying? Notre Dame, they beat Louisville. Here comes Notre Dame again. The standard here is to beat Georgia, who had the number 1 defense, right? To beat Kirby Smart, a team that had won, they were 42-2 over the last 3 seasons or whatever. So if any of these teams play Alabama close, it impacts them just like a loss. So go heavy, Coach Kalen DeBoer, in his amazing demeanor, and I love it, and I love what he's bringing to the table, but literally put the gas pedal down and let the naysayers continue to know that this Alabama team is a buzzsaw. Like, let them know. Yeah, I know Bama 205. They lost to Northern Illinois, and they're still ranked. And now that they beat a middle-tier Louisville team, here comes Notre Dame again. It's ridiculous. But if Alabama was to lose to Northern Illinois, oh, my God, right? Coach Kalen DeBoer be fired. Like, it's crazy. The difference that Alabama is held to against everybody in the college football world. That's fine. That's all fine and dandy. I'm just saying, keep the gas pedal down. Go heavy on everybody. Beat Vanderbilt. I have it 56-0. All right, we'll talk about more of that. I'm just saying, from the 14 million viewers, it's great for the brand. Millions were made in Tuscaloosa, which I love. I love living here. But you didn't win anything. Nothing. Play this again and again in the locker room. Alabama, you didn't win a national championship on Saturday. You didn't. You didn't win the Heisman Trophy. Nothing. Back to practice. Right? Job's not finished. Have you seen this? Wikipedia. Somebody took over the Wikipedia page of the city of Tuscaloosa and renamed the mayor as Ryan Williams. Did you see this? They said he's the mayor of Tuscaloosa. And then he also said that, and then Wiki also says that Ryan Williams is struggling with being a teenage father as he found out he's the father of the Georgia Bulldogs. You see, who's clever enough to take over? How do you even do this? But I saw that yesterday. I thought it was absolutely hilarious. And I'm still seeing funny things kind of transition out about that football game. But I saw someone took it over. He's like, he's the mayor. It's going to be Hollywood, Alabama. You know, I thought just rename the city after Coach Saban, right? Saban-Lusa, Sabanville. But now it might be Hollywood, Alabama. Absolutely hilarious. Kyle Henderson, Bama Football on YouTube. I appreciate you guys being here. Todd Tipton, what's up? Max Tooney checking in. Bama Mike from New Jersey. Rocket Town, Bama from the 205. Kevin, what's going on? Greg, I see you guys. Tough as nails. Everybody inside the comment box. North Alabama Storm Chase, thanks for your continued support right here on Bama Football on YouTube. I appreciate you guys being fan funders. Hit the $2.99 link inside, at the top of this YouTube channel. Super chats greatly appreciated, but you guys just being here, watching, supporting the product, hitting the thumbs up goes a long way. Yeah, this is Hollywood, Alabama now. All right, we continue. Trending headlines right now. Amanda Jane, what's up? Charles Weaver is saying Joel Klatt could say Williams could play in the NFL today. Probably. I mean, the way that he's playing, I mean, he might be the best wide receiver of the entire planet. You ever think about that? Right? All right. Speaking of Ryan Williams, his NIL valuation, On3 has like NIL valuations. You can read into it how they, put all that together, but it's up to 1.5 million from 750,000. I mean, look, and then I saw a debate whether players should be paid or not. Like, you know how much money? Like, I get it. A lot of people came to support Coach Kalen DeBoer and the new coaching staff, but did you come to see Ryan Williams? If you went to that game, were you more interested in watching Ryan Williams on the field or Jalen Milroe? Who did you pay to see? And I get it, the team, but the players, like the amount of money that is being made from these players is in the billions, right? The city, the economy grows from the players playing here. Like, that's the truth. So I would imagine that his NIL valuation is much higher than that. I would imagine it's probably, I don't know, $10 to $25 million, maybe more than that. And who's to say that at some point in time when there's other players that are of this caliber, which is rare because he's such a rare breed, there's nobody else like him. But do you ever think that out in the world of college football or, as we move forward, that there could be a point in time where like Texas or somebody with major pockets comes in and offers someone like Ryan Williams, hey, like we've seen what you've done. We want to offer you the first ever $100 million contract or NIL deal to come to College Station or to Texas to play. $100 million guaranteed. Do you think it'll ever get to that? Like right now, it's probably, I think what the Nebraska said, to get a quarterback, you got to be, what do you say, like 5 million? Seriously, what if like Texas or someone was to come knocking at the door and was like, we want to give you $100 million? I would imagine at some point in time that happens. But I think that is a real possibility as we look to the future. And Texas, who knows what? Remember how much money did they give Jimbo Fisher? With $75 million? I think that could 1,000,000% happen as we go forward. I think there could be a program, and it'll be something so mind-bending in terms of money that you couldn't even. You just had to be like, oh, the dude got $100 million. And I think we all know this. The brand of Alabama football is trending continued up. It's as high as it'll ever get, probably higher. But Texas has so much money. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but shoot, man. Somebody knocks at the door with $100 million in cash. Man, if somebody ever offered me $100 million to go, I don't know. that's a lot of cheddar. And that would kill college football, but I think that's already happening. Like this, we're in the beginning, and still there's some real parameters on this. I think it's much more than 1.5 million. I think it's 10 to 15. I think by the end of the season, it'll probably be 50. Who knows? Think about the amount of money that Ryan Williams is bringing in for the University of Alabama. I mean, speaking of more college football, GameDay is off to its best ratings in show history. No surprise, that's a Saban effect. I mean, Coach Saban, Skylar's like, don't give anyone that idea. I bet you I'm sure it's already out there. Coach Saban on GameDay is perfect. Last year, if you remember, and let me ask you this, yes or no? Have you enjoyed watching College GameDay? This would be easy. This is a base hit. Yes or no, more than you did last year? Yes or no? Type Y if yes, no if no. There should be 0 no's. And I ask you this because remember last season they were about to get rid of Pat McAfee, but Pat McAfee was missing something. He was kind of like too wild. He was kind of like taking over the show. And people couldn't really handle it because he's not politically correct. He's a wild card. He take off his shirt. He just, kind of do whatever. And he was kind of his own entity, right? The genius move by adding Coach Saban, they're like the yin and the yang. And those two guys fit perfectly. And the way that McAfee and Coach Saban are working together, they have, look, some people naturally fit. Like the chemistry is like, and it just works. Pat McAfee and Coach Saban, those guys could have their own show and everybody would watch. Because Coach Saban's a guy's guy. He's got a great personality. He's hilarious. It just works perfectly. It's hilarious. When you look at everything that College GameDay saved itself because Fox was making a run at their college football channel and people were starting to go away. But now, man, Coach Saban and Pat McAfee singing the songs, man, it's wild. I do think it is time for Corso to step aside, but he's part of that fabric. So whenever he's ready, I'm sure they'll make the move, but I think he's kind of close. But Pat McAfee and Coach Saban, man, I watch that. That could be whatever they want to talk about. I'd listen. Exactly, tough as nails. Me too. I can't, and I get it. We're all Alabama fans, so we watch Alabama anything related. But Nick Saban, I guarantee you, has brought in more people from the. Think about SEC listening to Coach Saban talk. More trending tide headlines. AJ DeVasta, the #1 player in the country basketball recruiting wise, he's a small forward. Like the #1 guy, had an incredible visit to Tuscaloosa. You saw him with Nate Oates at that game, which was, 14 million viewers. Look, Alabama basketball is just around the corner. We are going to cover Alabama basketball on this channel. What Nate Oates continues to do from a basketball perspective, recruiting, on the court play, like this is it. Has there ever been a time, you guys tell me, the historians that have been here, that have watched the team forever, has there ever been a time where football has been #1 and basketball has been #1 at the same time? Is that an easy statistic to look up? Because I think Alabama basketball would be the preseason #1, or already is. Alabama's #1 right now in college football. Like, what a time to be in Tuscaloosa. What a time to have any type of Alabama Crimson Tide news. Because when I moved here, basketball was like a second thought. But the thing is, Alabama fans have wanted basketball to be good. Like, I have friends here who are so invested into the basketball program, and they are just relishing every single thing that Coach Nate Oates is bringing to the table. Greg Byrne, man, damn, that's his legacy. Is he brought in Nate Oates as a basketball coach, and he had to replace Coach Saban, find a coach that could continue to build the brand, and he found him, Kalen DeBoer. JS Web Productions, what's up, man? I see you inside the comment box. Thank you for being here. So Godfrey, never. The last time when Godfrey was here was 2002. Yeah, I was a senior in high school. Bama 205 says preseason ranked number 1 in basketball is crazy. I know that it is. It's wild to think about. All right. Tide trending headlines. Diego Pavia, the Alabama the quarterback for Vanderbilt. Look, I like this kid. I do for many different reasons. He body slammed an Auburn quarterback. He beat Auburn last year. He's from New Mexico, right? Played at New Mexico State. I went to New Mexico State. The guy said yesterday he has a lot of confidence. Only God will know the score of the game on Saturday. I get it, right? It's what you have to say. I mean, you're the quarterback, you're the leader of the team. He said when you got to punch hard. Guy has a lot of confidence. We all saw that yesterday. And I'm asking you, when we look to this matchup between Alabama and Vanderbilt in this next Saturday, you got Alabama favored by 24 points. So my question to you is, and the guy is a beast. Hey, Coach Kane Womack, when he calls you a baller, man, he is a great athlete. He was a high school wrestler. He's good. Now, we get it. Like, you know, Alabama's a buzzsaw right now. Can't buy into the rat poison. Here, I didn't make any of this up. Here are the stats from, you know, the last time that these two teams have played each other. I think the last time that Vanderbilt actually beat Alabama dates back to 1984. So I'm asking you, yes or no, inside the comment box, do you think that Alabama beats Vanderbilt by more than 3 touchdowns? Yes or no, more than 3 touchdowns? I think, what is it at, Jarvis, like 22 right now? In 2022, it's 55-3. It was 59-0 in 2017. In 2011, it was 34-0. You got some vacated games right there that Alabama each won each of those, and then it was 30-8, 12-9, and then 28-10. Doug is saying no. Myron saying absolutely. Mike G saying no. I'm kind of with the absolutely crowd. You know, not to kind of buy into the rat poison. I just think that the message this week, I really hope that they're going so heavy at practice right now following that emotional win over Georgia, because I think when you look to kind of like, here's some more rat poison for you right here. When you look to like rat poison, like this is rat poison information. You have a 92% chance to win this game, right? Oh, it's Vanderbilt. Historically, we've dominated these guys. We go up to their little stadium and we do what we want. This is on ESPN, so it looks like it has it. It opened at 24.5, and I think right now it's like at 22 or whatever is the line. So this is the perfect rat poison game. I mean, Coach Saban was talking about this, you know, a couple years ago. It's dangerous to play a team that has lost 2 games. They have, and Coach Saban says they still have pride in performance. They've lost 2 games, only by 9 points. I mean, they've played in 2 overtime games. I mean, Diego Pavia is right. I mean, they did play Missouri into overtime. If they didn't miss that field goal, it probably goes into 3 overtimes. I'm not sold on Missouri. That doesn't take away the fact that they played a top 10 team into overtime. They also beat Virginia Tech, and Virginia Tech should have beat Miami. So this is probably a better Vanderbilt team than we've seen in the past, just because, you know, Pavia brought up a good point. I mean, this is a new roster because of NIL. But I think roster-wise, when you look at the 2 teams, I don't feel that Vanderbilt has anybody to stretch the field. And that's the only way that I think that a team would challenge Alabama is, as we saw against Georgia, when you start to open things up and you can go, you know, turn it into a street match, a street fight, that's the only way that you can theoretically maybe beat Alabama this year. That's why I think we all have respect for like a Texas, probably more respect for Georgia, right? Guy who throws for almost 450 yards and they still lose. What are you going to have to do to beat Alabama? Throw for 550? Jay Williams saying Virginia Tech did beat Miami. Yeah, they should have. That was a crazy ending to that game. Both of the rosters ran off thinking they won the game. Then they reviewed it. I listened to Lee's press conference. I think I might upload it today, maybe around 11. It's long. He has a very deep voice, and he's very calm. And he just kind of talks about, the game. He has a lot of things to say. So I might, depending on, what's popping, I might upload it at some point today. I might upload it this morning or in the evening time. But Alabama, 92% matchup projector. They were also, during the actual game against Georgia, they were, it was a win probability of 99. %, in like the third quarter, and then Georgia comes back, take the lead. And then Georgia had a 76% chance, which is very high, and they lost the game. It's never over until it's over. Never. I just feel, looking at these two teams, I think Alabama does whatever they want. And I'm curious to get your thoughts kind of on the back end of the show. What do you want to see from this team this weekend in terms of execution? For me, I want to see the running backs be fed. I would love to see Jam and Justice have a combined 30 carry performance. On the other end, I do think that, they're going to do everything possible to keep the gas pedal heavy with Jalen Milroe winning the Heisman Trophy. I'm starting to get that vibe. I mean, the guy has 1,200 yards and 18 touchdowns, but I think in terms of the wear and tear, Jam and Justice, they need to eat. And I think, if you can run the ball effectively behind this offensive line, who's playing much better, that would probably be the pattern that I see and that I want to see, along with the guys, most importantly, staying healthy. That's probably the biggest thing from something like this. Avoid the trap game. Don't look at, shows like this that are showing you rat poison information, and feed the running backs and get the hell out of there, healthy. And don't get into some sort of weird street fight with Vanderbilt. Because even if Alabama wins this game, like let's say like 42-28, think about, just hear this out. Alabama beats Vanderbilt 42-28. People are going to be like, see? They're not the number one team. Do you see the standard that they held to? But like in Miami, they win that controversial game. You'll be like, oh, still Miami's like a top 10 team. This is the best team. You get what I'm saying? A 42-28 against Vanderbilt, you're like, ugh. Coach Kalen, like you see there's a reporter for LSU that's been, attacking Alabama. What is his name? He has a show. And he was calling Kalen DeBoer like Les Miles or something like that. I didn't read into it. But I did see that kind of in the corner. That's what I'm saying, Bama boy. That's why I think you just have to absolutely drop the hammer against these guys. Here's a look at Alabama's next 5 games. And I think we're all on the same wavelength in terms of that Tennessee is going to be the most challenging game for Alabama. I still think the game at LSU will be tough just because it's over there it's just challenging. It's a challenging environment. Missouri, I don't know about Missouri, and I don't, South Carolina might punch a little bit more than we're probably thinking they will. That game's at 11 a.m., which I don't like, but the team should be good to go because now they practice at 11 a.m. anyways. This is a good schedule. This is a tough schedule. This is tough. 2 very challenging road games and 3 against top 15 teams. Brian Kelly, and all these teams will give Alabama their best game because all Alabama is circled on everybody else's calendar, right? I don't know about Missouri yet. I do like their coach, and I do have respect for how they played last year. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about them right now. But that's the next 5, and that's how it looks. Some more rat poison information. Here's just kind of how the teams have played in their last 5 games. Alabama, as you can see on the left, wins over Georgia, Wisconsin, South Florida, Western Kentucky, scoring over 40 points per game for the first time since 2019. Vanderbilt on the other side, they're coming off 2 consecutive losses that were each tight, right? And lost in overtime to Missouri. That was a 2 overtime game, and they lost to Georgia State But before that, they have wins against Alcorn State and Virginia Tech. That was their first win of the season. Man, Bama's just a buzzsaw, right? Wild. Let's look at the college football schedule. I didn't really see too many marquee games that I kind of have my eye on. I mean, this is a look at the Big 12. There's not a lot going on in the Big 12 this weekend. You have Houston and TCU on Friday night. You got West Virginia taking on Oklahoma State. Baylor at Iowa State, who's number 16 in the country. Central Florida taking on Florida. I guess that's moderately interesting just because of the in-state stuff. Kansas at Arizona State and Texas Tech at Arizona. Nothing really spicy there, in my opinion. I guess we're watching Oklahoma State there. Here's a look at the ACC. I kind of circled some of these games that I thought were interesting. Right now, a lot of people have UNLV making the playoffs as a 12 seed. They're taking on Syracuse. I think Syracuse beats UNLV. There's a lot going on behind the scenes at UNLV. The game is in Las Vegas, but I wouldn't sleep on Syracuse at this point in time. I'd probably take Syracuse in this matchup. SMU just beat up on Florida State. I know DJU, I think he's even hurt, but going against Louisville, I have my eye on that one as well. Bill O'Brien going to Virginia to take on the Cavaliers, and then Clemson taking on Florida State, who is just trending in the absolutely wrong direction. They even lost a commitment yesterday, and that sort of stuff is going to continue to happen. Clemson going to Tallahassee, I would imagine, and I'm surprised Clemson's only favored by 1 in that game. I think that Clemson wins that game by 10 plus. And then Miami traveling across the country in a conference game to take on Cal. That's still weird to me that that's an ACC game. I'm too A-type. I like all the teams organized in the same region. It freaks me out to think that like Cal and Miami is a conference game. Too strange, right? And Cal, I mean, who knows with Cal? That could be kind of I don't know. We might be watching that. That's a weird time change. I don't know. What is it? Miami's favored by 10, over under 54.5. I don't know. All right, here's a look at the Big Ten this weekend. You have Michigan State taking on Oregon. We can watch that game on Friday. I'll be at high school football, but, I'll have that game on as well. Give us an opportunity to really watch Oregon. I know Michigan State is down, but still, I want to see what Oregon can do in a conference game. Game will be on Fox. Oregon favored by 24 against Michigan State. Then you have Penn State taking on UCLA in another cross-country conference game. Ohio State, their schedule's so light. They're taking on Iowa. Sometimes Iowa can punch a little heavy. Indiana, who's 23, takes on Northwestern. Rutgers and Nebraska. You can see that game going into overtime. Michigan takes on Washington, and USC takes on Minnesota. That's right. There's no games that really jump off the board. Here in the SEC, hey, what's up, Chris? I appreciate you being here, man. Thanks. From, what's up, man? I see you as well. The SEC, you got number 9 Missouri taking on. I could see Texas A&M winning this game, right? I think we would all agree on that. I don't know if we're picking Texas A&M, but it wouldn't shock us to see that. I mean, it's a challenging environment. You're going, conference game. Texas A&M's 2-0 in SEC play, right? Auburn at Georgia, man, things are just. Auburn had that game against Oklahoma. They allowed 21 or 17 in the fourth quarter, and now they got to take on Georgia. Man, tough on the Plains, trending the wrong direction. Ole Miss looking for a bounce back. That could be a tough game for them too. I think they're favored by 9 against South Carolina in Columbia. And then you have the Crimson Tide traveling to Nash Vegas to take on Vanderbilt. You have Tennessee against Arkansas. Sam Pittman, I'm kind of seeing. I'll be curious about that one. And then Central Florida, as we spoke about, is playing Florida in Gainesville. Yeah, Mike G, I kind of think that Arkansas and Tennessee game would be good too. We'll see what happens, but no huge marquee matchups. I think that's next weekend that we get some really big games, but nothing really jumped out to me that I was like, oh, this is must watch. I guess the Auburn, Georgia, everything in the SEC, right? All right, here are my top Bama players up to this point in time. I'd like some feedback on this, and the way I listed it is just I went through the roster. You know me, I look at all the stats, the grades. They're ranked. This is from 10 to 6 right now, and then on my next slide I have 5 to 1. I'll give you some bullet points on why I think that. I'm open to debate this. I would like for you guys to post your top 10 right now, or when you rewatch the show or whatever. Now that you can think that this is one of the topics, I'd just be curious to see like your top 5 players. And I was also thinking top 10 players, what they've done so far through 4 games. But who would be most impactful if Alabama was to lose one of these players, right? I follow the NFL very closely, and it's amazing to see how a marquee injury impacts a team. It's wild. Now, the good thing with Alabama is they have so much depth, more depth than any of the teams from ranked 6 through 25. They can kind of just plug and play. But anyways, here's my top 10 Alabama football players right now. And number 10 is James Burnap. He has 20 punts. I think he is an absolute weapon. This guy he's underrated. We don't talk about special teams enough. But this guy, minus James Burnap, man, you're not flipping the field. He has 7 punts inside the 20. The guy is a ninja. If he's not the best punter, he's certainly a top 5 in the country. This guy is such a weapon, and he does such a great job every single game. 20 punts this season. I think his longest is 65 on the year. So James Burnap, absolutely critical to this team. Damani Jackson, I have him at number 9 right now. And I'll continue to explain why. And you might think that's a little bit lower, but you think of the players on this team who are doing work. Damani Jackson has 13 targets this year, and he's only allowed 3 receptions. The guys, we wanted to see him get tested. We want to continue to see if he is that guy. He's turning out to be that guy, right? Because at USC, we were like, okay, we're excited because we know the name. He's a former 5-star. But now to see him in his first SEC game and to see him through 4 games, the guy's tight. He's really, really good. Absolutely outstanding so far, Damani Jackson. Got his first interception. Him and Xavier Brown look good. So really happy to see Damani Jackson coming around. Malachi Moore. He has a Pro Football Focus grade of 80. Anytime you get into the 80s on Pro Football Focus grade, that's ultra impressive, considering Malachi Moore, I think, has the most snaps on the team as well. And I always talk about when you have Pro Football Focus grades, the more snaps that you played, the better, the more accurate we can see your grade because you played so many snaps. Malachi Moore doing a fantastic job this year. And I'm not surprised to see it. The guy is such a leader. He is such a great ambassador for the University of Alabama. That's leadership. I'm sure his family is so proud of him. He has a little brother on the team as well. But Malachi Moore, this guy, I just have so much respect for him as a person and what he continues to do in the secondary. So 80.8 Pro Football Focus grade. At the number 7 spot, I have Deontay Lawson. Finally got his first sack when Alabama did send pressure up the middle against Georgia. He has 31 tackles, which is second on the team. Deontay Lawson, I know we talk a lot about Jahad Campbell, but, this is the guy. Deontay Lawson is a critical component of the defense for so many reasons. He almost had an interception as well. I would imagine that he's a top 20 pick in the NFL draft. He's a leader. He's athletic. I think the swarm defense allows him to play very athletic. He is fantastic. Deontay Lawson is absolutely critical. So I have him at number 7. At number 6, I have Jam Miller. He has 273 rushing yards, an average of 8.0. He has some long runs this season. I think his longest run is 56 yards. He also has a run, I think, in the 40s and the 30s. So he has big playability. He's very strong, tough to take down. And he hasn't had a lot of opportunities just yet, right? We haven't even seen him have 50 carries this year. And I think if Alabama had to really rely on him to sustain drives or put the game on your back, I think Jam Miller could certainly do that. I would imagine, I don't know. I think it'll be pretty close to him getting 1,000 yards this year. But you also have to feed Justice Haynes, and of course with Jalen Milroe taking a lot of the attempts as well. I don't know if he'll hit 1,000, but it doesn't matter because this guy continues to prove that he can block, that he can run through the middle, through the outside, that he can catch the football, right? I mean, Jam Miller is the complete package. He's an NFL type back, 100%, right? So I got Jam at number 6, and I would imagine he might even move up as we continue to look at Alabama throughout the rest of the season. My top 10 players, now I have it organized from 1 at the top to 5 that are at the bottom. And I start with, let's start at the bottom. Start with Parker Brailsford. Watching him against Georgia, watching him against Wisconsin, I mean, the only thing that, there might have been a snap or two that we could be critical of. And the other thing that we can be critical of is like his helmet flew off a couple times. But this guy's proven to be damn good. Let me ask you, undefeated, yes or no? Just Y for yes and for no. Have you been impressed? And are we getting what was advertised with Parker Brailsford? I'm typing yes. Are we getting what was advertised with getting Parker Brailsford, who was a member of the Joe Moore Award team last year at Washington? Yes or no? I think yes. It's not like I'm like, it might take 6 games to see how a player is really doing. Like, no, this guy's doing it. Absolutely getting what was advertised. And his pass blocking grade is great. Man, I saw him all over the place. When I was doing some rewatch against Georgia, I saw him he's really athletic. I saw him everywhere. So I think a lot of people were talking about his, that he's not like 310, 315 or whatever. I don't know. I think he's a really good size. He's super athletic. He's been doing a damn good job. Rich News and Sports, what's up, man? I appreciate you being here. Angel, what's going on? Doug, Myron, Jeff, Marcus, what's up, man? I appreciate you being here. Chad, again, man, thanks for being here, bro. Chris, I see you as well. Next up at the number 4 spot, I have Caden Proctor. Now, it's only been 2 games, but the way my rationale for putting him at the number 4 spot in terms of the top 10 players at Alabama right now is I look at the way that Alabama has played in the last 2 games, right? Against Wisconsin and against Georgia. A team from the Big Ten, team from the SEC, and the way that he has played in those games. And I think Alabama's offense has performed better because of him, to be honest. I think with him being that anchor on the tackle position, Alabama's been able to look better in pass protection, and they've been able to run the ball effectively to that left side. He has a pass blocking grade right now of 84.3. What's up, Van? I see you inside the comment box as well. So we already saw what the offensive line looks like without him. And let me ask you this. This is another yes or no question. In the 2 games, and I get it, it's not a lot to work with, has Caden Proctor looked better to you than he did last season? I think that's an easy one. Yes or no, has he looked better to you already? He looks more athletic. He looks good to go. Mike, I appreciate it, man. Thank you. Yeah, I was kind of looking at the stats and wanted to come with like the top 10 players right now based on the performance and kind of where they're at. But you take away Parker Brailsford, Alabama's in trouble. You take away Caden Proctor, we already saw how they played. And it's been really impressive to see Caden Proctor, kind of his growth and his development. This guy could be somebody somewhere else right now. Thank goodness for – think about this. 2 guys on the squad right here. Parker Brailsford came in. Caden Proctor, he came back. What a great thing. Let's think about this real quick, okay? All these guys here have been impacted by Coach Kalen DeBoer. I don't know so much about Jahad Campbell. I'm sure in some way, I can't think of it right now, maybe by Kane Womack, but 4 out of these 5 guys for sure, there's a Kalen DeBoer impact, right? Number 5 with Parker Brailsford, he brought him from Washington. That was the first transfer he brought. Coach Kalen DeBoer directly fixed up. It was like a leaking sink at your house. Like he fixed it, right? And then he goes back and figures out a way to get back Caden Proctor, okay? Because Alabama needed a tackle, right? Oh, this is a Ryan Williams. There's another hoodie that I need to get, but this is a Hollywood one that I got from Athlete's Thread. Can you see it a little bit better? I think the wording and kind of the text makes it a little bit harder to read, but this is a Ryan Williams one. So Coach Kalen DeBoer, you get what I'm saying? He has direct impact on Brailsford and on Proctor. Jahad Campbell, like I was talking about this guy in the preseason, and he's doing so much this year. He has the highest grade on the team on Pro Football Focus. You get into the 90s, that is like superstar. You get into the 90s, man, this is like top 10 pick in the NFL. I think he could play the wolf position. I think he could play inside backer. Jahad Campbell is going to be a nightmare in the NFL. I would love if the 49ers got him. You know, probably scoop him up would be like the Detroit Lions or someone. Man, you put him on the Lions, the Lions are building up a squad. Jahad Campbell, that guy is it. He looked amazing. After he returned that interception, you could just see his athleticism, right? We've watched sports before. He just has it. The second player, number 2 right now, also impacted by Coach Kalen DeBoer, Ryan Williams. Think about this. The first ever prospect that Coach Kalen DeBoer got is Ryan Williams, a 5-star from Saraland. And Ryan Williams decommitted the day that Coach Saban retired. And he gave Coach Kalen DeBoer the opportunity. And I know there was a lot going on behind the scenes. Courtney Morgan certainly involved in that. But I have him as my second-ranked player right now as just a freshman. You know? And I ain't going to mention his age because that becomes a drinking game, and it's only 9:45 a.m., right? 16 receptions, 462 yards, and 5 touchdowns. Absolutely wild. Love to see it. Never thought that he'd catch for, 177 against Georgia. Beast mode. He renamed the city. It's Hollywood. We're living in Hollywood. Coming to you from Hollywood, Alabama. Kyle Henderson. Bama football on YouTube. All right. And the number 1 player clearly is Jalen Milroe. 1,200 yards already with 18 touchdowns, 10 passing, 8 rushing. I thought, and I'm sure you saw this on Alabama's official YouTube channel, kind of their recap of that game. And for all the great things that Jalen Milroe did in that game, the story of Jalen Milroe is amazing to watch. We're watching, you know what? You all have your shows out there, the shows that you're watching. We're watching like a Netflix series right now, like live. Every single week is it. And to be able to get a little glimpse of that locker room when Jalen Milroe and Nick Sheridan embrace. And I know we are hard on Nick Sheridan for the gadget plays. You move past it. I get it. He took accountability. He said that, based on the design of the game, whatever. But I think from what I got, and you've seen this, right? You've seen Jalen Milroe and Nick Sheridan embrace. I got a lot from that. Because even when we were talking before the season, you were asking Jalen Milroe in the springtime, how has your relationship been with Nick Sheridan? And he was like, man, it feels so amazing to have somebody that believes in me. Because I think we've all believed in Jalen Milroe. There's been a lot of people that, have doubted him. But Nick Sheridan has believed in this guy. And I think Coach Kalen DeBoer, Nick Sheridan, Jamark Shepard, all these guys have rallied behind him and helped him improve on his passing game. His stats against Georgia, man, I get it. Some people feel different about Mel Kiper and some of the guys that talk about NFL positioning with the NFL draft, there was a time where Jalen Milroe's name wasn't mentioned in terms of a top quarterback being selected in the NFL draft. I've seen it this week. People are talking as the number 1 pick in the 2025 NFL draft. So you continue to see how he progresses. And I think that hug on Nick Sheridan, I think that's a lot of hard work. That's you see the result. There's nothing better than seeing the results than getting up at 3:30, getting to the gym at 3 in the morning and working every single day, working in the film room, working on your delivery, understanding how to get the ball out quicker, right? Like, it's so much better than entitlement. Has someone ever gave you like $100 bill? And you're like, oh man, thank you so much. You're like, you have a lot of gratitude. Have you ever worked for $100 bill? You ever mowed lawns, 2, 3, 4 hours to be able to get that $100? You feel you spend that money different. You use that money different. You savor that money different when you've worked for something. And I think kind of that was what I got from Jalen Milroe, Nick and Sheridan hugging, right? He's come a long way. Job's not done. They didn't win a championship, but I think you're seeing, a lot of the fruits from his labor being delivered. It's good. I respect hard work. I respect consistency. I respect staying in the lab. And you're seeing that, and that's good to see. I love it. So credit to him and his continued development and the people in his corner, because, there's a lot of people that have doubted that dude, and he just continues to come with it each and every week. And that performance on Saturday, and there's not a lot of people that could say, a lot of negative things about that performance, because that was a superstar performance. Someone mentioned there's a video of injured wide receiver Jalen Hell running. I haven't seen it, but that makes me happy. Jalen Hell, Alabama wide receiver who had a very significant injury during the springtime. We don't really get updates on him because I think he's in the rehab process, but I'm happy to hear that for him. He's a very talented wide receiver that would probably make a push to, see playing time this year. Clearly he's going to redshirt. But I haven't seen that video. If someone wants to send it to me via email or whatever, I would appreciate it, and I'll look into it. But that is a really great update just for him. You can follow. Sometimes Jalen Hill will post like an update on social media and just thank everyone for the thoughts and prayers. But I think it was a significant injury to kind of maybe. Okay, cool. Thank you, Mr. B. I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. That's good, man. I'm all about the good vibes, and I can't imagine how a player like that must feel when you suffer an injury that takes you away from the game that you love, the game, like that. You don't lose the brotherhood because you're still working with it, but, he wants to be out there with his team. Different ways to support Bama football on YouTube: super chat during the live show, become a fan funder, thumbs up during the show, become a sponsor, nmpreps@gmail. I don't put my email out there a lot. Maybe I should, but that's the email. It's just a general email. NMPreps is a business that I used to own in New Mexico. Remember, I covered high school football in New Mexico for 13 years, which was pretty dope. I loved it. I love going all around, just covering high school football, 6-man to 7. They have 6A there, and it was it was a really good part of my life. So I appreciate it. Thanks for being here today. Topics that we covered on today's show. We went over the trending Tide headlines. We talked about if Alabama will beat Vanderbilt by more than 21 points. Talked about a little bit of rat poison there. Looked at Alabama's next 5 games of SEC play. Looked at week 6 in the college football world. Looks like the majority of those games that we're watching are in the SEC: Auburn and Georgia, Tennessee, Arkansas. We looked at my Alabama top 10 players at this point in time. And as I get to kind of the back end of the show, let me just ask you this. What do you guys want to see from Alabama football this weekend? Just name like 2 things. For me, I want to see Alabama's running backs be utilized. I don't think they have a lot of wear and tear right now. I would still like to see Alabama put the gas pedal down. I don't want them to go easy on Vanderbilt. I don't. And I get it. I love Diego Pavia, and he's right. Only God knows kind of the outcome of, each and every day, right? If you want to make God laugh, right, tell him your plans. You've heard this before. But I want to see Alabama continue to tighten up. You get better every single week. Penalties reduced. Oh, I love that. Thank you so much. William, thank you so much for being here, man. Yeah, the penalties is something that when you kind of zoom out and you look to Alabama, that's an area that you really do need to tighten up. I mean, 10 for 90 last week, that isn't it. Anytime you get into that 10 to 15 penalty range, you start kind of giving the other team an opportunity to win the game. I mean, I think in the 2 games that Alabama lost against Tennessee and LSU in the past, they had 15 penalties in each of those games. We're starting to kind of find a theme, outside of the Wisconsin game. Alabama's had a lot of penalties against Western Kentucky, South Florida, and against Georgia. So that's something that needs to absolutely happen. I want to see continued progress from Alabama's secondary. I think they were certainly tested against Georgia, and there were some times where they were beat, where receivers did make contested catches, but there also were times where Alabama, because of their good coverage, came up with turnovers. I did like to see the pressure on the quarterback, and look, Diego Pavia, he doesn't have a lot of weapons, but the kid's a baller. He's got a really good mentality. He's accustomed to winning. He's a warrior. He is going to fight. Coach Kane Womack called him a baller. I like his sound bites, I mean, they asked him, they're like, if you can't get up for this game, you really ain't SHI, you know what? So the guy has it in him. He's got a really good competitive spirit, but I think when you look to the roster mismatches, if you can block out kind of the rat poison, Alabama goes heavy, ground game, get your big plays, feed your guys, stay healthy this game, and continue to be undefeated in the SEC. SEC positioning is, there's never been a more important time to stay undefeated in the SEC. I mean, it always is, but this year it's based 1 and 2. So right now, for example, Texas A&M is a top in the SEC because they've won 2 games. I'm curious to see if Texas A&M is victorious this weekend as well, going against Missouri. Missouri on the road at Texas A&M. That's also a game we'll be watching. I appreciate you guys being here. Remember, I also upload these shows to Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Follow us on Bama Football on Facebook. We got a really active channel. If you're into kind of like the mentality, the mindset, the workouts, Mr. Kyle Henderson on Instagram and, of course, on X. But I appreciate you guys being here. Please support the players by going to Athletes Thread. That's where I got this hoodie. The hat up top is from Chris Mobley. Have an amazing Wednesday. Look for that Vanderbilt head football coach press conference to be posted maybe later on tonight or during the day. Make sure your notifications are turned on so you always are notified when we do go live. If major news happens, I bring it right here. I look forward to catching up with you guys as news happens. Probably get a coach interview today that I'll upload to the channel. I love you. I appreciate you guys. And I have so much gratitude for you allowing me to talk Alabama Crimson Tide football with you. Coming to you from Hollywood, Alabama, Kyle Henderson of Bama Football on YouTube. Stay blessed, fam, and I'll catch you soon. Have an amazing day and hope you enjoyed the segment right here on Bama.